Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. Okay, so just to recap, what we've done is just we added a grill, the grid, and we've got two grids. We've got one on the outside and one on the inside. We called it a grid.clone. Speaker is essentially this geometry, the geometry of everything other than the top part here, which is essentially just a bump map displacement of the buttons here, and also this here, which is the grid, and also behind it is a clone of the grid to give it a black backdrop, so to give that shadow look. Okay, so that's what we've done so far, and obviously we've rounded up the edges, and there's probably a little bit more that we need to do, but we've got the buttons at the back and the power hole in there as well. So next what we need to do is add a light here, a light here, and a light on top. So the way we're going to do that is essentially we're going to use the point light, and we are also going to place it inside a cylinder. So let's go ahead and create the cylinder first. So let's go ahead, here it is. Okay, it's very large, so we're going to go down to 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter, and we're going to have just one height segment. So let's go down there and let's pull it out. Okay, now it's facing the other way, so it's facing the z-axis. It's still too large. Let's go down to radius of 125. That might be a little bit too small. 0.25, that should be fine. And also the centimeters, we'll go with half a centimeter. And okay, so let's leave that there for the time being. Next, what we'd like to do is just position it. Right, so it's already on the correct z-axis, so we're just going to position it. So we're going to work on the bottom one first. So what we wanted to make sure is that we're not hitting the, see how it's crossing over onto the clone grid. So we don't want to do that because the light's going to get trapped between this segment and that. And what we can do is do a Boolean subtraction, which will basically cut it out, but there's no point. It's not a major component there. So what we're going to do is just drop the size so there, let's make sure that it doesn't pop out, doesn't step out there. So we're just going to keep it there for the time being, and I think that should be enough. Okay. All right, and I still think it's a little bit too big, so we're just going to drop it to there a little bit more. Okay, great. Excellent. So now what we're going to do is we are going to turn off everything except the cylinder. So switch that off, and this is it. So this is the cylinder that we're looking at. Now what we want to do is select the cylinder and make it editable, and we will be selecting this particular face of the cylinder and deleting it. So therefore we're going to make it a hollow cylinder with just one side closed. So let's go ahead and do that. Select all the objects, that's all we've selected, and go ahead and delete. So now we've got the back of the cylinder. We're just going to add a little bit of thickness, good practice. So thickness, it's 10 centimeters. We're going to drop it down to 0.25 and drop the cylinder under thickness. So there we go. So now we've got all this thickness around the cylinder, and that should be good. What I like to do as well is also ensure that the cylinder is sealed well. So what I like to do is just grab the cylinder itself, make a copy. Oops. Notice how when I click the cylinder, the thickness, the actual arrows, the gizmo appears here. So what we've got to do is Control Z that, is move the gizmo so the gizmo is right aligned with the actual entire object. So to do that, you go to the axis here, click that. When you click that, you can then move it without moving the object. So it doesn't move the object, just moves the gizmo. Raise it and place it. Now let me see if it's placed in the correct direction. Yeah, it's okay. That was really good. So it's in the correct location. There it is. So let me just make sure it's positioned well. There we go. And then undo it, and now you can basically move it around. Now, what I like to do is basically make a clone of that. Select the object. And then just cap it down the bottom. Like so. Okay. So now let's introduce the light. So now you can put a square here. You don't have to be as surgical as I was just to do that. I just like to do that just because sometimes I get a light leaking in the back, so I like to basically double seal it. But nonetheless, let's go to the point light, and here's a point light. It's very bright. We're going to place it right in the cylinder itself. So it's in the middle. So let's do the front view. Okay, so it's right there. That works. From the front view, okay, that's good. So let's raise it so it's in the middle of the hole. Excellent. So this is where it is. Now you can actually see here on the right hand side how that looks. So what we want to do is we want to decrease the light. The light's way too bright. So let's just go down to something like 4. And the exposure level, let's decrease that as well. So we don't want it to overshine too much as well. Let's just drop it down to say -4, and that should be fine. Now the only other thing is that the object from which it's emitting is actually going through the objects and it's highlighting the object. So we don't want that. So what we want to also do is make sure that the actual light itself is coming through, but not, say here right now the light's subdued because it's inside an object. So let's just pull it out a little bit. There we go. That's all we need. Now the object itself, right? So what we want to make do is to basically reduce the size of it so it's not so big. So what we want to do is go back to the original cylinder and reduce the radius. There, and the thickness, that should be it. Okay, great. So now let's just okay. All right, so now let's adjust the lighting. So now the color of the light, let's make that a red. And let's grab that color and bring it out a bit so it shines through a little bit more, and that's it. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, that looks really good. And adjust that to red. So there we go. So now the intensity is 4, the exposure is -4. If we can increase the exposure, fine. But the more you increase it, it goes whiter. So we want to basically keep it at that same red color level. So now, so that's the red one. Now what we need to do is essentially group these. So we're going to group all this together and Alt G, and we're going to call this the bottom light. Right. Okay, and let's call this one top. Okay, so what we're going to do is just grab this one and just lift it all the way up. Let's find out where. So we're just going to undo the subdivision surface so we can actually see where it's going to land. Let's move out, zoom in a little bit, and you can see how it's going up, up, up. So all the way up to the very top and place it right there. So what we're going to do is make this a blue light. So we can actually have a blue light. So we're going to call this one the RS light dot red. RS light dot blue, and we'll turn off the red one, so we can turn the red or the blue, whichever one we want later on. So we're just going to make this one a blue one. Okay, and we are also going to do the same up here as well. So where's the bottom light? So this is the top light, the bottom light, we'll do the same thing and just change the color. So this would be red, blue, and turn that one off for a moment so we can actually see that it's blue. Yep, excellent. So now we're going to continue with, we're just going to switch that around so we can so we've got a couple of different colors. So we've got red down the bottom, blue at the top. And now what we're going to do is we're going to make a hole in here and also add a light there. So let's go ahead and do that now. Let's make an incremental save. Okay, and let's go to our subdivision surface and let's go to the top. Let's select all the polygons and the points that we see here. And let me remove this view, this redshift view, and go to standard view. So we're going to do a bit of modeling here. And I'm going to make a cut here to here, escape there to there, escape. And then I'm going to make a cut from here to here, escape, here to here, escape. And move that slightly to the right. Oh. There we go. Okay. So now I want to be able to make a little cross here. So let me go ahead and make another cut here to here and in the middle. Now I want to select the innermost point, hit the bevel tool, and just expand outwards, and not too much. The hole's gonna be around about that size. Let me just back out a little bit, maybe a little bit bigger. Oops, undo, 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 and just increase it to there. Okay. Oop. There. Every time I move my hand off the mouse, it just tends to jump. There. Okay, now I'm going to go and select the polygons right there, and I am going to extrude it inwards. So I am going to select the move option. Am I in the front view? I thought I was in the, yep, now I'm in the perspective view, good. So now I'm going to zoom out, hold control, and just slide downwards. Okay, excellent. So now I've created this little hole here. So now I want to be able to fill it with the light. So what I'm going to do now is introduce one of the lights that we already have, which is say this one here, and I'm just going to make a clone of it, and I'm going to put it right here, and I'm going to find it now and lift it all the way up to the surface. Now I'm going to introduce my redshift material viewer. There we go. Okay, it was doing a subsurface division, so it was tucked under subsurface division. So like that. So we had to basically pull it out of the subsurface division and bring it into a different area of the hierarchy. And now you can see there's the light. Okay. Now let me have a look at how the light looks from a distance. Okay, it's exactly what we want. So now we've built the lights in. So we've got the bottom light, we've got blue and red, we've got blue and red at the top, and we got red at the top as well, so which we can change at any point in time. Okay guys, well that's the lighting done. Okay, thank you, bye bye.